So here we are at the laser cutting station. What we're trying to do is maintain open access to students to be able to come in and cut their files. What's also important is that the machine is properly working upon you leaving, so that the next student that comes in has a chance to use the laser cutter. If there's any malfunction with the laser cutter, it's important that you notify any technician or Professor Kirk so that they have time to quickly order the new part so that it can be back and running. If you have any questions regarding the operation or anything regarding to anything in this room, you can just simply ask a fellow student to see if they know, or you can ask a technician for proper guidance. So we're going to start over here with the cutter and our exhaust system. You do not have to worry about turning on the exhaust system because it will turn on automatically upon you pressing start on your cut file. But you do need to turn on the laser cutter. To do that, there's a simple pin switch right over here in the top left hand corner. You turn that on, you can hear some fans turn on, you'll hear some lights turn on, and more importantly, you'll see the cut table move all the way down to its lowest position. It's your job to bring the cut table back up so that it's correctly focused for your cut file. To do that, you go over here to the button interface. You need to manually focus the laser head so that it's at its most optimum distance for the laser to properly cut your material. Now to do that, these 6 buttons right here move the laser head. These 4 buttons move the laser head in the X and Y positions. So when I press this, you can see how the laser head moves. To move the table in the Z position, you use these 2 buttons right here. The up button simply means up, and the down button simply means down. Now, I want to cut something, so I'm going to move the table about 2 inches before this laser head. It's important that you raise the table up before it comes in contact with the laser head. Of course, you do not want to have contact with the laser head because it will cause damage, so just be careful during this step. So I'm going to stop right around there. That's not the proper focusing distance, but I'm stopping there because there's a tool that you are using to properly focus the laser head. Before we get there, I'm going to go over the rest of the buttons. This button right here, the pause button, will stop the current process that the laser is doing. So if you see any signs of a flame, or if you just want to stop the laser cut, you can press this button and it will stop the current line it is on. It will stop at the end of that line. It won't stop in the middle, it will stop at the end of that line. This button right here is their standby button. The laser automatically goes into standby, so you do not have to press this button. This button right here is your exhaust. If you want to manually turn on the exhaust, you can press this button. But the fan automatically turns on once you press start. But I'm just going to show you. Once you press the button, you can start to hear the fan turn on. And that's the exhaust. But I don't want that on right now, so I can just turn it off. This button right here is your start or restart button. By pressing this button, it will start whatever you have loaded in your Trotec program. If you want to restart your cut, if you want to reset it, you can also press this button and it'll restart the cut, your last cut. This button right here is your shift key. When pressed with a combination of other keys, it will operate the laser. It'll have a second operation. It'll have a second layer of operations for these keys. You do not have to worry about those. This light right here is your laser indicator. This light will flash whenever the laser is emitted. It's more so of a warning light to notify you that the laser is being emitted. This flashing green right here is your status light. There's different combinations of this light that will notify you what the laser is doing. Now, I want to focus my laser head. I want to correctly focus it. What I mean by focus is I want to provide the correct distance between my material and my laser head. This distance is dependent on your material thickness. So if my material is thicker, the distance between the laser head and my material is going to change. So since I'm using 1/16 right now, the distance is going to be just different than if I'm using 1/8 inch. So that means that if you're changing materials, that you need to refocus your laser head before you start that print. If you do not correctly focus your laser head between different material thicknesses, you are putting your material at risk for burning and also causing a flame. So that could start a fire. So to correctly focus the laser, there's a tool right here. It should always be put back in this spot so that the next person can use it and that you don't ever lose it. So you have your handle here that you hold it by, and you also have this little brass ledge that you're going to be using to hang the focusing tool on the side of the laser head. So, using this correct orientation, you simply put the tool on the side of the laser right here, and it just hangs, just like that. Now, what you're going to be doing is tapping your up key for the table to move up so that it will tap the tool off of the laser head. It will simply just fall off, and that's how you know your laser head is correctly focused. So I'm tapping it. Tap, tap, tap. Just like that. Simply the tool falling off the laser head, that's how you know that your laser head is correctly focused. Now, you grab the tool and you put it back in its spot. Now that our laser is correctly focused and everything looks like it's working properly and I don't have any other scrap material in here, I can go ahead and close the lid and I can move on to setting up my Trotec cut file. Once you have placed the material into the laser cutter and correctly focused the laser, you can place your cut file into Corel. Corel both accepts DXF and DWG files. If you do have a DWG file, you just have to simply drag that DWG file from your USB into Corel. If you have a DXF file, you can just simply double click and Corel will open for you. The first window is regarding to units and scaling. Automatic selection for the units will make the units as in your cut file, and make sure that your scaling is 1:1. Once your project is open, you'll notice that your line work will be placed within the cut profile of the laser cutter. These dimensions are 28.5 inches by 17 inches. Do not change these values, for they will guarantee that your line work will fit within the cut plane of the laser cutter. The first thing that I'm going to want to do is make sure that my line widths are all set to hairline. To do this, simply select your lines and go over to the object properties here on the right side. As you can see, they are not set to hairline. To set them to hairline, go to the drop-down menu and select hairline. As you can see, I have different colored lines. Trotec uses different colored lines to designate different power settings to determine whether or not it is cutting or engraving. If I wanted to change only the S of the WSU logo to a blue colored line, what I would do is just simply select that line and go over to the blue color palette and right click. What this does is change only the line to that blue color. If I were to simply left click, it would change the fill of that shape to the blue color designation. Having a blue fill means that you are going to be engraving, which I am not going to be doing. So to take the blue fill away, simply go up to the no fill and left click once again. Now that I have my 3 color designations, I would like to have my line work in the top left-hand corner of the cut plane. This is because the Trotec laser cutter's origin is in the top left-hand corner. A very simple and efficient way of doing this is to use this dialog box at the top left-hand corner. If you notice this icon right here, the little black dot is in respect to the center of the cut plane. If you select the top left, top right, bottom right, the coordinates will be in respect to that specific point of the cut plane. So simply select the top left and type in 0, 0, and your line work will be moved to that origin. If you were to zoom in, you would notice that your line work is correctly lined up on each edge of the cut plane. Now that I've done everything that I need to do, I would like to double check my work. I want to make sure everything has the correct line weight with the correct color designation. I also want to make sure that my line work is in the top left-hand corner of the cut profile. To transfer your line work over to the Trotec laser cutter, simply go File, Print, and you will see that the laser cutter is pre-selected. You will not have to change any settings in here as they are already determined. But it is recommended that you go down to the Print Preview to see your line work before you transfer it over to the Trotec program. As you can see, the colors will not show up, although they will be represented by different shades of gray. Next, you can see that my line work is within the cut profile, so I can simply move on and exit out of this dialog box. Next, you can press OK to transfer it over to the Trotec program. If Trotec is not already open, it will open automatically for you, although your project will not open automatically in Trotec. Going over the interface here, this white box is your cut profile. Over here to the right, you will see a list of previous projects that are done by other students, and then down below you will see this plug icon. This plug icon means that the laser cutter is not connected to the computer. If the laser cutter is on, you can go ahead and click this button to connect the laser cutter to the computer. Once the computer is connected to the laser cutter, you will notice that the plug icon is replaced by a play button. This play button will be pressed when you want to start your final laser cut. Also notice that you are able to see the laser head position on the cut profile. Next, I can look for my project under the project browser, and chances are that a lot of projects are going to be named Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, and so on. To make sure that you're looking for the right project, I would suggest going back to Corel and checking what the file name of your project was called. Mine was called Untitled 1. So I go back to Trotec and look for the other untitled ones, and chances are that my project is going to be numbered the highest number. As you can see under the project preview, I can see that that is my correct project, and to open it you simply double click. The gray box is a quick preview that Trotec provides so you can see how your line work fits within the cut profile. If you would like to see your line work, press the What You See Is What You Get command at the top. You are now able to see your blue, red, and black colored lines. If I would like to move my line work to the right or downward, I have to use this toolbox right here. Notice the X, Y coordinates that you're able to enter. You will not be able to enter in values until your project is clicked. So once clicked, you'll be able to enter in values for X and Y according to the top left, top right, or bottom left. I want to move my project according to the top left-hand corner. So I want to move it 1 inch over to the right and 3 inches downward. Once I zoom out, you'll be able to see this position better on the cut plane. It's moved over to the right 1 inch and moved downward 3 inches. But I want to move my project back up to the origin, so I type in 0 for X, 0 for Y, and my project will shift back up to the origin. This tool is best utilized if there's a space on your material that you're trying to miss. Simply measure your material and shift your project in Trotec accordingly. Next, I need to set my power settings. To do that, go up to the Settings tab and click Material Template Setup. Here, you can see how Trotec organizes each color to a specific power, speed, and hertz. The laser can do 3 different things when it sees a designated color. It can cut, engrave, or skip. Skip would mean that it would simply skip that color. Engrave means that it would engrave over a fill by moving the laser rapidly back and forth. I don't have a fill, so I'm going to simply set it back to cut. Next, you would go to the spreadsheet or a credible source for a power setting for the material that you are cutting. It is important that you know that these settings are safe for the laser and the people around you. Once you have entered these settings, you can go ahead and press OK. Now is the time that you want to double check your work. You want to make sure that the laser is in fact connected to the computer, and you also want to double check your power settings. Lastly, you want to make sure that your laser head is in fact at the origin. Once you have done all those things, you can press play. Now is the time that you would go over to the laser to make sure that your power settings are working. If you see any signs of a flame, you want to make sure that you press the stop button that is located right next to the play button. Once you press print, you can go over to the laser cutter and check your print. The machine will beep at you once it's done. Make sure you do not lift the lid before it beeps at you. Alright, there's my cut. There's my emblem. Go Cougs.